What do you imagine when thinking about Sweden? Do you think of red cottages, scenic lakes, and pitoresque little villages? There is one country where you will find all of this. Join our excursion to famous Lake Siljan and Sweden's most Swedish province, Dalarna.
After our key disaster with the lost keys, we are planning now to do all the way to Lake Siljan in Dalarna, and I think the ride is roughly 200 kilometers the straight way, and I have no detours planned, so we might really just stay here on a bigger road and do some kilometers now.
Of course, it didn't take long before we saw a sign that said Fulufjället Nationalpark. And of course, we couldn't resist.
I somehow never can resist when there's a sign that says National Park. So we did another detour and now we're back on very small gravel roads to actually hit the road again that we wanted to take.
If we would have continued the road we took, we would have ended up in Norway. But we took a left turn instead in the village Bernhardt.
I love Sweden because as soon as you go on the really small roads, there's absolutely nobody anymore. It's really so crazy peaceful.
We followed the scenic small gravel road along a river for about 40 kilometers before we hit Route 311.
This road, oh my god, it's kind of weird. Is this even the right road? I feel like crashing into a train, but yeah, I don't know, but I think this bridge is for vehicles and railway.
After our exciting bridge crossing, we had a short lunch stop. Who rides hard as well needs to rest hard.
Guys, look at all these red houses. We're very close to Lake Siljan now, and here it really looks like I always thought Sweden would look like.
Traveling in Dalarna is like experiencing Sweden in a miniature. Lakes and mountains, red cottages and craft tradition gathered up close. Dalarna is often called Sweden's most Swedish province, with famous Lake Siljan as its centerpiece. Swedish symbols like midsummer or the red painting for houses originate from this area. So the Ducati is leaking oil and it's very embarrassing, so we're trying to catch it somehow to not ruin everything, and that's our solution. Face masks. Our next day was supposed to be a rest day that we used to explore the most scenic places on Lake Siljan.
And I didn't even have to ride a motorcycle. Instead, I went as a pillion.
I could dry out in the sun for you, follow the deep dark ocean down.
Leksand is one of the most traditional of the Dalarna villages. Stroll through the small roads or try one of Sweden's best sweets.
True. How do they call them?
Bernhardt.
Our first sightseeing stop is Hembygdsgårdarna, and unfortunately today there are no guides and nobody explaining because the season officially is already over here in Sweden, so we have to explore them by ourselves.
To learn about the traditional life of the region in the last centuries, Leksands Hembygdsgårdar open-air museum with a collection of timber buildings from various centuries is the best address.
So this first one here, it's the old atelier workshop of a painter, and the second one here, which I like the most, it's an old store. It's the oldest restored house they have. It's from 1519. So this behind me is the old stable, and we just read there were of course the animals, but as well the woman who did the sewing and making clothes worked there because it was always warm where the animals were, so that was kind of like the heating back then, working where the animals live.
Dalarna is the birthplace of the traditional red painting for cottages. The color is called Falu red, and it's named after the mines at Falu in Dalarna, where the pigment historically originated from. It was a side product of calcination of copper ore. Mixed with linseed oil and rye flour, it was an excellent anti-weathering paint. The earliest use of Falu red dates from the 16th century.
Sunglasses. It's broken. Yeah. I bought them on my journey around the world. They lasted for 5 years or 4 years. That's very sad.
Close by Hembygdsgårdar is the Church of Leksand.
Very special about this church behind me is this top here, because that's very unusual for the area here, and the church is one of the oldest ones in the area here. It's built on a graveyard, and there are graves that are from 1000 after Christ.
The church is one of the largest rural churches in Sweden, and the oldest parts of the building are from the 13th century. In its present form, it exists since 1715. Outside the church you will find Via Sacra, a short pilgrimage walk, and an interesting bell tower.
Well, if there was a fire in this town, the bell was rang once. If there's a fire in the other town, the bell was rang twice.
Tired of all the sightseeing, we took the decision to just relax in the afternoon. And Lake Siljan is the perfect place for a little rest and peace. Lake Siljan is Sweden's 6th largest lake. It is the result of a meteorite that hit the area 377 million years ago. The original crater, now mostly eroded, is estimated to have been about 52 kilometers, the largest known impact crater in Europe. After our swim, we stayed in Tällberg. It's the village to visit on Lake Siljan. It first became famous in 1850 when the Danish writer Hans Christian Andersen visited and praised its tranquility. All houses in Tällberg are made out of wood, and several of them are hotels, with some of the best restaurants around the lake. We decided for a dinner at Gren Hotel and enjoyed a beautiful view over the lake while dreaming of our next adventures. Did you like our peaceful cultural visit in Dalarna? The next episode will come with new challenges. I lost my drone in the forest and found the most beautiful lake of Sweden. Leave me a comment and thumbs up if you like this episode, and hopefully see you next Thursday.